Welcome to my podcast. This is Mary Turderoff, and you are listening to Jump In with Mary. Hello, everybody. Today we have my beautiful friend, Claudia Constancio, on the podcast. How are you?
I'm great, Mary. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming because this is a really special session, a really special episode. We're going to talk about things that we've never covered on this podcast before. And just to introduce you, you are a very inspiring woman. You really have broken all barriers. You have been told to live in a box, to pick a lane, and you refuse to abide by society's demands. And you've created and structured a life that is truly unique to you. And listeners, it's going to make a lot of sense. So we are going to jump right in. Claudia, we're going to talk about your love life a little bit. You have dated men, but you married a beautiful soul and a beautiful person who is a woman. And you have a wife named Sylvia. And we were chatting. You said something that really struck me. You said, I married the person. Tell me a little bit about what does that mean? Because people constantly want to put everybody in a gender box, in a household role. You know, you're the housewife or the moneymaker. So it feels like you're saying that doesn't really exist for me. I look at the person. I love what I see. I love the soul. And that's how I know this is right. Am I on the money?
You're spot on,
Tell me a little bit
Yes.
about how you knew she's the one to start a life with.
I mean, when I met my wife, I think I was not looking that she was a woman. It was more of who she is as a person. She's very kind, and I don't know, her personality just radiates trust and just happiness, and there was this connection immediately that I've never had before or experienced before. And I think when someone asks me, what do you identify as? And it's like, I can't pick a box.
Right.
Because I don't feel like I fit in any box. And I don't think you should be put in a box or a label to identify who you are. And I think for me, I love her for who she is. And if she would have been an alien or any other type of creature, I think, I would marry her again. And so I think people just want to feel, comfortable with putting people in boxes and labels. And I think we need to be empowered and feel okay not to be in that box. And I think just defend that feeling and, embrace that person that you are.
How did you handle everybody? So there's you and your inner universe, right? Like navigating, and it sounds like you really went with the flow of life. It wasn't like, okay, I'm dating, just men, or now I am pivoting. It feels like you were literally going with the flow of the chemistry, the sparks. So my question is, there's that inner universe you have to deal with. And then there's the outer layer, which is the external world, right? Everybody's reaction, response, etc. What was that like? And how did you manage it with the closer people in your life where I expect to some degree people are wanting to process it themselves and they need that box?
Right. Yeah. I think prior to meeting my wife, I was in a long-term relationship, and it was a serious relationship, and she was in a relationship as well. And
your wife,
my wife,
right?
Yeah. So
you were friends first,
right?
And you were both in independent relationships,
correct?
And you were friends, okay?
Right. And so I think when I informed or I shared with close loved ones, especially, they were a little surprised or shocked, and some weren't. They're like, oh, not that they expected that, but it was more like they were accepting. And I think it has to do also with, friends, the way they think. They're more open to relationships. And so it wasn't a big surprise. And just, being
It's your story's just so big. So big. I know. You tell me if I'm, I know it's like emotional too,
Yes,
because you guys really fought to start a family. And you have 2 boys together.
Yes.
And I don't know if you regret meeting me because I keep asking you all these questions. I'm like, oh my God, tell me about the fertility process. And, how did you get there? And how did you make the decision? And
Right.
so, okay, let's rewind.
Yes.
Claudia and Sylvia have 2 boys, 2 beautiful boys under 10 years old, right?
Yes.
8 and
5 and 7.
5 and 7. And me being nosy and curious, when I met you, I initially assumed, right? Because it's just like a very lawyer-like fair thing that for one son, it would be your egg. Right? I'm like, that's very fair. That's just, and one son was Sylvia's egg.
Right.
So basically what I'm talking about is genetically sharing genetics. And of course you have a sperm donor. So walk us a little bit through the process of how you guys decided not to do that, and what did you plan and what did you do pregnancy-wise?
So when we decided to start a family, we both knew that we wanted to be parents. We didn't, I guess, know much about the process, or at that time we started researching to see what was the best option for us.
Researching what?
Medical.
You mean like for in vitro?
For in vitro.
Oh, okay.
In this case, it was a reciprocal IVF because we decided that, I wanted to carry. So reciprocal.
Time out. What does that mean? I don't know. Reciprocal IVF.
So what happens is Sylvia's eggs are extracted.
Okay.
And they were frozen.
Okay.
And then I'm inseminated with her eggs. So it's a transfer.
Oh, okay. I didn't know the name. Okay, so interesting. All right. Okay, so that's the process you guys elected together.
Right.
For both pregnancies.
Yes.
Okay, now the big question that I think everybody would be wondering, right?
Right.
And it's not that it's good or bad. It's just, how come you decided to be the carrier both times? Didn't she say, I want in on some of that action. I'll carry once. You carry once.
Well, she never wanted to carry it, and I
don't blame her. I was telling you, I wish that my husband was pregnant one of the 3 times. So she didn't want to carry.
No, she didn't want to carry, and I think that's what made it easy to make the decision, because I think I've always envisioned myself pregnant. I always, in me,
you wanted it.
I wanted to have a baby with the right person and the right time. And I think that for me was essential.
Yeah.
And
the genetic part, how did that make you feel? So that, of course, they're your sons.
Right.
How did that part? Did you have any mixed feelings about that? Honestly,
no feelings. I think the way I feel it, we decided, or that she took part in it, and so I think it made it natural because I'm carrying part of her.
Yeah.
And she didn't carry, but she participated in the process. So there was a process that she had to undergo.
Like physically.
So she had to go through medications and
the extraction.
And recovery. So she had her partake in the process, and I think because she was healthy at that time, younger, she was able to, get through that process, I think, seamlessly. It didn't, seem like, she had a lot of side effects or anything like that with medication. So I think we did it in a timely manner as far as like the process. And so having her, go through that process and making her part of the pregnancy, I think was big for me. Knowing that part of her is, my part of my baby.
Yes.
So I don't think that was always like
it wasn't an issue
for
you. Like you haven't, like your egg wasn't in any part of the process. That's fascinating. And I think it's beautiful that you guys really knew how each of you wanted to participate. I would have been the Sylvia in your marriage. Like, I don't want to carry. You go for it. Enjoy the 9 months.
Yeah.
Well, times 2.
Times 2.
Very unique. And okay, my other question is, actually, we're going backwards a little bit. You guys, when you first got married and decided to start a family, you applied for a grant.
Right.
I had never heard of this. Can you tell listeners a little bit about what type of grant it is that exists out there, how you found it, and how it affected your process or helped improve your process?
Well, it definitely helped. As I mentioned earlier, we did some research, and Sylvia actually found this company through research because we had a bad experience. We went to a fertility clinic out in San Diego, and I think it was mainly geared towards heterosexual couples.
Oh, okay.
And our experience there was not as positive.
Do they refuse business?
They didn't refuse business. It was just more all the forms. Everything was just more heterosexual driven. Sylvia didn't feel comfortable with the process. And not only that, but also the distance, very far from where we live, almost a 2-hour drive. So we started thinking, are we committed to do this and do those drives, every week or
That's
depending on what you're going to go through?
And it's very timed.
Yes, it's timed.
Like it's time.
Right.
You can't just show up. Like it's not a regular doctor's visit.
And so, she's always liked to research things. And so she's like, I have to find something that there must be something out there. And so she entered a forum online. And the forum was for same-sex couples wanting to have a family or start a family. And so
they gift a grant, right?
Well, someone responded and said, yes, there's a program. I'm going to send you the contact information. And so they sent her the information to this company. At that time, it was called Advantage Fertility.
Okay.
They're located in New York.
Oh.
And she contacted them and said, yes, we have assistance for same-sex couples that want to have families. We have this program and we walk them through the whole process. It's very complex. We make it easy. Almost they handhold you through the whole process.
But do you have to apply? Is it like winning the lottery a little bit? Like a bunch of same-sex couples apply and you have to win?
I'm not sure if it was like a lottery, but it was an application process. Yeah. And I think they had certain slots. Right. And so her communicating with this, representative, she was able to kind of give us the information and said, there's a deadline if you guys want to sign up for it. And it was definitely less expensive than what we had consulted in the other clinic in San Diego. I would say 5 times more.
What just approximately for listeners who are curious and they've never embarked on this fertility journey, how much did they quote you? Just generally.
It was over $50,000 in San Diego. And that's just
per pregnancy or
per cycle.
Per cycle.
Yes, per cycle.
Because you might not get pregnant.
Right. And with this company, the packet, because you purchase a packet and then it comes discounts with the grant, it was, I think at that time it was $10,000. And then if you do it by this time, we'll knock off $100.
Wow.
And so we're doing that. And so we ended up,
you got the grant.
Yes, we obtained that. However, it had an expiration date.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. So what does that mean?
So we signed the agreement. And so the agreement was, intensive. It had a lot of lingo verbiage that, were not familiar. So we had to do our research. But it did indicate that it would expire in 18 months.
Right. So they don't want you to hang on to this for 10 years.
No, it's now or never. Now or never. If you're serious about starting a family, here's the package. This is what you need to do. They also connect you with a fertility clinic that takes their package.
Wow.
And so we were connected with Care Fertility, and they're here in Glendale. Dr. Quintero is amazing. They connected us with him, and he and his staff, very welcoming with same-sex couples. We even had a case nurse who managed our whole IVF process, and herself had her partner and shared her story of how she carried the babies. And so I think it was very
Sounds nurturing.
Nurturing and very different from our previous experience. And I think that kind of facilitated and helped our process to, make it seamless, although it was like nerve-wracking, like every step.
And it's a very interesting setup because a lot of times for most of us, I think mostly everybody, you say, okay, we're gonna try. But it takes time. And in the meanwhile, you're flip-flopping a little bit. You're like, my life's gonna change. And should I, shouldn't I? You go back and forth. You were like given an 18-month time period. So I would feel like, did you sit down for a minute after it's like a time sentence, like sit down with Sylvia and be like, we got to really decide if we want this because we have 18 months. Was it like that?
Well,
it's a lot. It feels like a lot of pressure. You get the grant. You're so grateful. I'm sure you were grateful.
Right.
But it's a little bit of like, wow, there's no turning back.
But I think at the time we're just like excited, and I don't think we really realized what 18 months meant. But once we were in it, we had made very, I guess, not strict decisions, but like we just made decisions that final decisions because we were either we go for the grant or we purchase our home because those were our goals. We wanted to have a home, and I'm a person that likes to plan. I'm a planner.
So what were your goals that you before baby like that you really wanted and you wanted it to be set?
Yeah, so I wanted things to be set. I wanted to have a home first. I wanted us to be financially stable. Both of us have, jobs that are stable and travel.
Yeah.
We definitely wanted to do some traveling before we would, start a family. So those things I think we both agreed on. But then I think us talking about just time and, and again, being a woman and having this clock that, if you don't have a child by this time, you get older, complications.
Right.
And I was already in my mid-30s and I'm like, I want to be a mom so bad and we both want to have a family. So,
so the timing felt right. Tell me about that conversation you had with a friend because sometimes we think, let me get all my ducks in a row and get my house set, my mortgage here, the crib set up. But then you had this very pivotal conversation with a friend. Can you share like what the friend said and how it hit home with you?
Yes. So our good friend Dave, we've known him for many years, and his wife Tina, we had dinner with them and we were sharing our plans and
you're not pregnant yet.
And I'm not pregnant yet, but we're
you're trying to get the house down.
Yes. So one thing that Dave said, Claudia, Sylvia, you don't need to have a house to start a family or have all these, material things. Your home is going to be where your family is. So if you're in an apartment or wherever you are, and your loved ones are there, that is home.
Wow.
And so to me, it was like the best advice I could ever received at that time because it meant a lot. And I think because of his words and what he said, it hit home. And I'm like, let's do this. Let's put the home for later and, let's go for it, get this grant, start family.
Yeah.
And, let's do a quick trip because we were able to sneak a trip before the 18 months.
Oh, good.
We ended up going to Italy.
Oh, that's a big trip.
So we were, we went to Italy for 3 weeks.
It's like a pre-baby moon.
Yes.
Most people do. 3 weeks?
3 weeks.
Wow.
Yes.
You checked off a bucket list.
Yes.
That's a big trip.
So it was amazing.
That's
and
so nice.
I mean, I think, going to Italy and just having that trip, I think did check one of the items in our list that we wanted to do before starting a family.
Before this process.
Yeah.
So, okay, so now the grant is there. Let's jump into the section, which I think is so fun to know about. Because in your mind, you like imagine it's very movie-esque, You guys go in, now you need a sperm donor. Do they bring you a brochure with like, Brad Pitt lookalikes? Do you want a George Clooney look? Is it a physical brochure? I have really never, I have been to a fertility clinic and had some of that process done for my middle son, but I never saw what it's like to pick a donor. So walk me through it. Like, do you go online? Do you click through? Is it like a dating app? Do you see like their features? How many languages they speak? Are they drug addicts? I don't know. Tell me.
So yes, there's a website, and
the doctor gives you a website.
Yes, so they give you some options, and the option that we selected was cryobank, and so we logged in there. So you create a profile, and
it's like dating. It's like Tinder. Okay, so you create a profile. You know it's a legitimate website because the doctor's office works with them.
Yes, yes. So they work to, once you select a donor, you have options to either pick up the vials or they'll ship them to the clinic.
Slow down. And pick up the vials? What do you mean? You pick them up yourself?
Yes.
Why?
But
why would you do that? What if you lose it?
It's a personal choice. Yeah, so we're we're not.
I'd lose it in my purse because I'm always losing my phone and my keys.
Well, it's my understanding, we didn't do it, but it's my understanding from a good friend is that they give you a big container.
Oh.
So you pick up this big container and you drag it with you.
Oh, my. So it's probably refrigerated, right?
Yes. It probably has a certain temperature. And
wow, okay.
Yeah, maybe wheels. I don't know.
Maybe wheels.
Just wheel it in.
Okay. So you didn't do the pickup.
No, we didn't do the pickup.
Essentially the sperm.
Yes, we elected to be shipped to the clinic.
Okay.
Yeah.
But how did you guys pick the person? Do you see photographs?
Not of the donor. So,
No.
Okay. So you go online and, create the profile, and then you look at different, I think it has different
preferences, right?
Preferences,
like race.
Yes.
Okay, race.
It has race. It has
What about religious affiliation? Stuff like that?
I don't recall religious, but it has race. It has color eyes, skin tone. It has ethnicities.
Okay. What about occupation of the...
An occupation, yes.
It does.
So it does.
An age of the man?
An age, yes. So it gives you the age of when they donated. And so, yes.
Okay.
And so it gives you the option. You purchase different things that you want to know of the donor. So you could purchase a baby picture.
Oh my God, wait, you can, I love this. Claudia, stop right now. So the more you pay,
yes,
the more information they give you.
Right.
That's kind of an interesting concept.
It is.
Because if you financially don't have that much, I don't know how much it is to look through the brochure or look through the online brochure, but if your funds are limited, you kind of.
Yeah, you're limited to knowing the full...
Where the sperm came from.
Right, information, right.
Okay, so you can buy a photograph. What else?
So we got the baby picture.
Oh, the man's baby picture.
Yes. So you can see pictures of how the donor looked when they were a baby. Yes.
Okay.
And then you can also purchase their family history, like their medical history.
Like a written...
Yes. So we were able to purchase the history.
That sounds very important.
The maternal side and the paternal side. So we were able to see what kind of,
like diabetes?
Yes, diabetes
cancer history? Okay. What about drug addiction stuff?
No.
You can't, it doesn't share things like that.
No, it didn't have that. And then we were able to purchase also a recording. So it's an interview of the person who, I think when they donate. Their voice.
Wow.
And so we were able to purchase that recording too, to kind of get a sense of who's this person. And
it's like everything but their face.
Right.
Wow. And you never talked on the phone, right?
No.
Okay.
No. So you can purchase those things to kind of make your decision. And
Did
then
you do that for multiple people?
We did a couple.
Okay,
and it was it was not the most first of all, it was uncomfortable. She's like, I don't know, how to do this. We first did a search together, and it gives you lookalikes, and we were trying to find a donor that had, because again, it's her egg. So it's going to have her features, her genetics.
Yeah.
So we're like, let's try to find a donor that looks like me, right? My eyes are kind of slanted, I, look Hispanic, but there's I look a little like maybe Asian eyes. And then she's like, so we started looking at, pictures of these babies of how, who would look like.
But you have to purchase all these pictures.
Yes, you have to purchase. But we there's some that you could see. So we were able to kind of weed some out. And then, there's lookalikes. I think there was George Lopez, and she's like, "Oh no." She's like, "Okay, Claudia, I think you pick the donor. I'll leave it to you."
Yeah, because it's I don't want to say weird. It's just like not something you do,
Right.
so it's a little unnatural.
Yes.
And even I was thinking, listening to The Voice. I don't know. I feel like that there's an emotional component. Maybe there wasn't. I'm imagining all this because I didn't go through that. Like hearing the male voice, like of the person whose sperm it is.
Well, it was more, I think, of like how their personality and who they are, and I think purchasing like their just biography of did they go to school? What did they major in? Or did they do sports?
Oh, it has details.
Yeah, so it has details on
Okay.
who this person is. So I think that gives you a better kind of picture of characteristics or genetics.
Yeah.
So
you at the end, because there's all these options,
yes.
all these baby photos. How did you pick? You pick. Sylvia said, "You go for it."
Yeah. So I mean, and again, it's like lookalikes. I'm like, So at that point, I was overwhelmed.
It's
I'm like,
eeny, meeny, miny, mo.
Almost. And then I'm like, okay, lookalike James Franco.
Oh,
Do the boys look like James Franco? No. Bushy eyebrows.
They look perfect. Whatever you did, your kids are so handsome and cute.
Thank you.
But we're laughing now because it is like such a thing. But at the time, was it stressful?
It was.
Because you got to click.
It was
and
stressful.
Pick the sperm and move
it
on.
was, yeah, it was stressful because, you almost want to have this, faith that everything's going to go well.
Yeah.
And that we're picking the right, donor, and it's going to be a healthy baby. And I think our goal is to have a healthy baby, no matter how it looked, color skin, color eyes, no color eyes. I mean, we just wanted a healthy baby.
Yeah.
And I think,
absolutely.
I think at the end of the day, I mean, picture, no picture,
it doesn't matter.
It didn't matter. Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure. And this is the contract that's signed. They're never identified, correct? And your information is not given to them.
No. So it's confidential. You don't know their identity.
And they don't know yours. They can't ever reach out.
No. Okay. And so there is a sibling registry, though, that you can sign up for. And so as your kids get older, you can connect with other siblings. So if other women had successful births of the same donor, at a certain age, as a parent, you make the call. You can, link to, other families that, are it's a sibling registry.
This is the first time I'm learning about. So you go on, I wonder how, so you put in what information to connect?
You provide just your email address to you link it to the donor's number. The donor has a number.
Oh, like not a client number, a donor number, not number. A cell phone number.
No, just a number.
Oh,
yeah. And so whoever, had a baby with that donor number,
you can reach out.
Will receive or see the email, and they can connect
if they want to. What a process. This is a really big process and system.
Yes.
How do you feel about that? Just kind of fast forward. Is that something like you'd want your kids to? Well, because it could open Pandora's box.
I think at that time we decided we wanted to just, you
left that option open?
Yeah, you left it open. I provided my email, and we did get contacted. We got contacted twice by two other couples that had children with the same donor. One, we had kind of brief conversations and then never connected back. But there's one that did connect. Wow. And we share pictures and we share stories of the boys. I mean, the boys don't know because we don't want,
they're young.
They're too young.
Yeah.
But,
does it fill up some need or some emotional part of you to like connect with somebody who has?
Yeah, I think it just, it's you kind of see these similarities. I mean, they're very small, but it's just, do
they look alike? You could see the resemblance?
A little. I mean, Sylvia's features are so strong that they both look like her. But, I think the donor's strong features are like their ears. So I'm like, oh, okay, they have the donor's ears.
Wow, Claudia, I did not know that there's this like option? Are you still keeping it open like for the future?
It's still open for the future. I mean, I think, right now we feel open about it, but again, I don't know how, things and things might change, but, we want the kids to have that option to, connect with them if they want to when they're older.
How does it work if, fast forward, the child is 18 and over, is an adult, and decides they want to try to contact the sperm donor? Is there a way to do that?
I don't think so because
No,
it's
right?
anonymous.
It's never disclosed.
No,
Okay,
it's not disclosed. Yeah.
Kind of keeps it nice and tidy that way, because it sounds like it could get really
I know. I think
complicated.
there's other options where I think they do elect to have that contact. But I don't know a lot of, that option. But for us, is anonymous and, we don't know.
What a journey. Are you glad it's all behind you? Because it's a big process.
It is a big process. And, me and Sylvia talk about it, and it almost feels like a dream because it went by so fast. I think, for us, we just got lucky with, finding Advantage Fertility, Care Fertility with Dr. Quintero, their staff.
It's a whole team. You had a whole entourage.
Oh, we did have a whole team. I mean, I don't think we would have, had a successful, birth without, that support. And I don't think, there's a lot of help out there. I mean, I don't know if currently, I know there's still, same-sex couples struggling with, having families and just like the cycles, you go through one cycle and sometimes it's not successful. We got lucky that our first cycle was successful.
Oh, was it?
Yes. They did the transfer and it was successful the first time. So we were just,
wow, you're lucky.
Really
Most
lucky.
people go at least 3 times.
Right.
Wow. Yeah. And touching upon a little bit of, like you mentioned, you were in your 30s, your mid-30s, and I'm so glad it was successful. You didn't have to do it multiple times, but, having kids later in your 30s to me felt like such a different gift because I was more grounded, more present as a woman versus being 28. You started this motherhood journey at late 30s.
Yes.
Post 35. How did that feel? Do you regret not starting it sooner? I mean, I do know you thought you wanted to be a mom at 22. I mean, our moms, right? Different generation. Women were becoming mothers a lot younger. And it seems beautiful. And there's so many advantages. Obviously, you're younger, you're healthier. It's a little easier. You get less tired, less annoyed, less angry. But there isn't that present knowing and appreciating. So how did you feel? Do you regret not being younger and having a baby? Because that's what you thought you wanted to do.
Right. So I thought I wanted to have my first child at 22 because my mom had me at 22. And growing up, I heard that story, I had you at 22. And I think in my mind, I'm like, I think I want to have my first child at 22 because I want to be a young mom. I want to have energy. I want to be, present and, have all this, stamina to do things with the kids.
For sure. I mean, he would be 18 when you're 40 years old.
Isn't that great?
I know. Yeah.
But sure enough, when I hit 22, I'm like, wait a minute. I'm almost done with college. I don't have a home.
Don't have a job.
I don't have a job. I don't have a savings. So, I mean, I don't have these things and I'm like, I don't even know what's next. Or I'm like, I feel like I'm a child myself.
Yeah.
How am I going to have a child? So,
and you thought, how did our moms, how did that generation?
Exactly.
They were fierce. Like that.
Right.
Was not a joke.
Right. And so I'm like, I don't know how they did it. And so I'm very glad that I waited because I feel that that time, I think I grew as a person. I became more mature.
Yeah.
And, I found the person that I wanted to have a family.
Yeah.
And I think that takes time. It takes maturity. It takes, you have to go through, some hurdles in life and some changes or some things that you just have to go through in order to be in a place where you feel, okay,
Yeah,
I'm
this is
ready.
what I want.
And I think as a woman, I felt like, I feel like I'm ready to have a family, and I'm not going to be having a family because someone else wants to have a family or because it's an expectation of our families. Is like,
Or the culture.
they'll be like, Claudia, like, when are we going to see grandchildren?
They'll say it, right?
It's kind of the pressure. And so I don't feel that, I had to abide by that. It was under my terms and when I wanted and when I found the right person. And then we're like, this is what we're going to do.
But that came with age, right? Because like making that kind of a decision at 25, like 25 is so young. I didn't think that back then, but now I do. I'm almost 40. So now I feel like 25 is so young. And you're right. Like I got married at 22, almost 23. And I remember thinking on my wedding day, I remember thinking this, even though I knew my spouse so well because we like grew up together.
Yes.
Like I'm just a child. Like I was just in a dorm room. And I mean, from dorm room to marriage life, it's a big jump. So yeah, making your decision at 25 versus 35 is those 10 years are a game changer.
Oh, yes.
I think for women on average, even if you're a very mature, driven woman, I don't think that changes. I'm sure you were driven and mature at 25, but there's that like, I'm going to do it my way. Yes. You really did it your way.
Yes.
You really had your terms. Oh my gosh, that's so much fun. So, okay. What about the kid? Like, how do you, I don't know, have the kids asked about, kids love to hear the story. Like my kids want to hear about, did you talk to me when I was in your stomach? Like they want this like narrative.
Right.
I think it's innate in children. Mm-hmm. Okay. Have they asked, and how honest, how much of it have you explained? Because it's a scientific process.
Right. Yeah. I mean, both of them have asked, and, we've explained that, they were in my tummy and I carried them, and they like to hear the story of like, you would eat mommy's food when I would eat it.
Yes,
and,
exactly.
You would kick and move. So, that narrative, but.
Do they like get into the logistics? Just for moms listening who are on your path and like, I think people have a lot of anxiety about that.
Right. Like, yeah. And so
like why didn't Sylvia carry? I don't know. They might be too young to ask that. But what is the plan when they ask it?
I think being honest with them. I think right now we've explained things to them, geared to their age and, not give them too much, because it is a lot of information.
It's too logistical.
Yeah, it is. And so I think Emilio, the oldest, 7, he likes to ask a lot of questions. And so with him, we've just told him, we needed a special ingredient to make you.
Oh.
So they took mama's egg. Uh-huh. So, she had to go through the procedure. She went to the hospital. And then, we got this special ingredient from, a very kind man that we needed. Wow. And so, we went to a clinic, and then they injected into mommy's tummy.
So you did walk him through it.
So that was our simple way of explaining to them.
Yes. So you were very honest. I love that.
What was the process? And I think, we want to be honest with them, growing up, and we want them also to understand that we're a different kind of family. And that they're informed very young because,
because they might get questions from the outside world.
Exactly. Their friends or, anyone. Yeah, and so we want to prepare them for when they do get questioned or maybe, not so nice comments. And so they're able to respond and be proud of, our family and who they are. Yes. And so I think that's what, we're working on equipping them with, that knowledge, because I think if they're able to express that, then, they're going to be okay.
You're right. And to not be caught off guard. I think that helps kids. So how's the community been as far as they go? Have they been bothered at school? Have these questions come up to them, which then comes to you?
Not yet.
Not yet.
Not yet. I mean, Emilio is in 2nd grade and Camilo's in kinder.
Kinder, yeah. They're little. Little. Maybe in 4th grade. The questions start happening. I felt like 4th grade.
Right.
3rd, 4th. Like kids start to ask each other questions.
Right. I have a friend that I think it was 4th, 5th grade when the questions start coming. But right now we haven't had any of that. So
how have you been received in your like outside of your family? You're the parents at the school system or just people in your community. How have you been received. And I don't mean like verbally, because what people say and what they feel are two different things. It's an energy, like you were saying, right? You
Right.
married the person, you married the spirit.
Right.
What is the energy like? Do you feel like when people find out, they pull back a little bit?
I think it's been pretty accepting. I think initially when the kids started going to school and I started meeting, other moms or parents, they have this idea. They think, I'm married to a man.
I thought that too.
And
Okay, I thought that too. I don't know why. I just thought it.
Yeah.
But then when you introduced me to Sylvia, I was like, oh, okay. I mean, there was no afterthought. It was just like, oh, I didn't know. I wouldn't think so.
Right. And so that is the first reaction. And so, yes, I think it's more of like, oh, okay.
Why do you think, and I don't know, I didn't think about it much, but I just remember being, wouldn't know. Like, why do you think that? Is it because you're very, very girly?
Again, I think it is.
Right?
It
Do you
is.
think
It's
that's
the
why?
way I think it's the way I present.
And it's because people have that image, a stereotype image.
Yes.
In the box.
Yes. And I think that's what it is. And
Yeah.
so I think that is the reaction. And so once, this is my wife, they're like, oh, okay.
Because you're like the epitome of feminine. You are just like this soft, very graceful. That was my impression of you. Always dressed, so cute, blow dry every day. Oh my gosh. I love that you take it with a grain of salt. It feels like you don't allow all the thoughts and feelings of the outside world penetrate your life and your heart and your inner bubble. Were you always that strong? Did it take time to get there where there is the bubble and it's like,
I think maybe I haven't thought about that. I think I just live.
It's who you are.
And I think for me, I've had a different experience, or I think, I'm proud of who I am and my family, and I carry myself in that way. And I just don't, have that sense of like, oh, I don't belong here, or, it's, you're
content with who you are.
Yes. And so if you want to be part of my life, you're welcome. If you don't, then okay.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye, Felicia.
Bye, Felicia.
And you exude that. It's interesting you said that, because whatever you just described, I felt exactly that when I met you. And you're so mellow. You don't have that intense energy. You're just like, here I am. Take it or leave it. This is me. That's so awesome. Have you guys, was it easy to build a life with other couples, like as friends, like couple friends? You and Sylvia, like other couples you're friends with?
We're friends with a couple couples. They're moms in the same school that our kids go to. And we've established some, relationship. It's really hard to have friends because you're so busy with work and, the kids.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think having that support or those friendships help, because you share stories and you share, challenges that you're going through. And it's just so, I think, assuring that we're not alone.
Yeah.
And, especially, when kids are going through things at school, whether it's bullying or it's just like they're having a hard time transitioning from, one grade to the other. And then just sharing those stories and just kind of feeling like, oh, okay, it's happening to other kids too. So, I think having that support is very important. And not only that, but just kind of having also that adult, connection or friendship.
Like outlet,
Yes.
Was it, I don't think we were talking about this, but I was talking to another friend about how like this generation of parenting is different. Back in the day when we were kids, right? Like our parents, well, I don't know if your parents are immigrants, are they?
Yes.
Okay, mine too. So they couldn't, babysitters, nannies was fancy. No, who could afford that? They weren't paying for that. There was no such thing. So they would invite all their friends over and their kids. And it's not like you had a choice. Now kids have a choice. Mommy, I want to play date with, Bobby Smith. It wasn't like that. My mom's like, you play with whoever I'm friends with and whatever kid they have. So they would invite them over and they would just shove all the kids in a room, close the door. And they would just hang out. That was a play date. And now it's become so fancy
Oh, yes.
and so like a little elitist. Like, I don't know. I don't know if that's how you feel we're in different school systems, but it's a little bit like just play. It doesn't have to be all these set up play dates, and life feels a little more complicated in that way for parents, mothers,
Right.
and fathers.
Yeah.
Any parents.
Yeah. It is a little different. I mean, I know like Camilo, he's in kinder. He's like, Mommy, I need can we schedule a play date?
And it has to be scheduled because it's a fast life. You're like a city
and it's
life.
almost like, you have to put in the calendar. It's like I've been trying to schedule a play date with one of his friends for the past 2 months.
Yeah. You're like,
and they're like,
January of next year.
Yeah, exactly. I'm busy this week. Or can you do next week? And then at that point, it's like, okay, let's forget the play date. Like, it's just so challenging. And sometimes I'm like, let's just go to the park.
Yeah.
And whoever can make it, make it. If not, then
we'll talk to the birds. We'll see.
Yes.
How has your marriage taken on gender roles? Meaning, like, for example, I'm in charge of the social calendar in my household. Like, I
can see that.
Well, first, I had to train my husband how to want to go out and socialize. Then I started to fill up the social calendar. But like one person does all of that, the management of the house, essentially. So there are a little bit of those roles. Do you guys carry those roles in the household where it's a little defined? It's like Sylvia does XYZ and you're in charge of playdates, calendar, booking the vacations, or is it more murky, like more?
I don't think it's like assigned task. I think we just kind of fell into these tasks.
But I know you like to assign tasks.
Yeah. Well, we have a calendar. We do have a calendar, and it would be probably the social one in the relationship because she doesn't like to social much, so I have to put in those dates to socialize.
Do you do the invite? That's what I do, like the iPhone invite.
Yes.
Oh my gosh, that's so funny.
Yeah, so she's the one that fixes the things in the house. If something breaks, she's the handy one. I'm not.
Like more of taking care of the household hiccups and
right.
Taxes, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Okay, I think we're in the pretty much same setup.
I'm like, I'll just show up and sign.
Exactly.
But, it's like, I think sometimes it's reverse role sometimes because, we just do them.
Yeah.
But like groceries, I end up doing groceries. She doesn't like groceries. I don't like doing them either. But,
I don't either.
Eventually we have to do them.
You could only order Instacart so many times.
Right.
Do you Instacart?
We used to do that back at
COVID.
COVID.
And then you look at the bill and you realize a cucumber is $6. My husband, I was ordering recklessly. I have COVID. And then he's like, you got to stop. COVID's been over. It's like, have you noticed the prices are like triple?
Yeah.
I said, no, I haven't. Okay. So you're in charge of all the like household stuff. Yeah. But you're also working full time, so that's a lot to manage.
Yeah, we're both working full time, so it's challenging. But when we after we clock out, we're done. It's like run to the grocery store or throw in some laundry, start folding laundry, prepare dinner.
That's a lot. So when you get to gaze into each other's eyes and have date night, do you? Because you got to connect.
Yes.
No, I'm not convinced. You're like, we try.
We try.
No, you sleep at 9 p.m. Tell me the truth. Do you guys set up? But wait, how many years have you been married?
7 years.
But how many years have you been together? More, obviously.
Yeah.
10?
10 years total.
Okay, that's a long time.
Yes.
So that's why I wanted to ask. Like, we are so actively, the more time goes by, the more I realize I got to really actively set these things because
you have to schedule.
You have to schedule. So easy to drift apart.
A date. Yes.
Yeah, it's very human to drift.
And I think that's one of the goals that me and Sylvia had for this year for 2024 is like, we need to schedule daytime or, dates to make sure that we have that alone time and reconnect, even if it's going to get coffee.
Yes, just to talk.
Or for a movie or just talk without having interruptions.
Yes.
Or having, someone pull, Mommy, I want this, or Mommy that,
Yes. Or even when the kids are around, I feel like, how's your day? And I really don't want to know how his day is because I'm just with the kids. I'm setting dinner.
Yes.
It's the autopilot thing you say. And you're like, just give me the short answer.
Right.
Good. You had a good day. Okay.
Yeah.
So, So are you, did you meet your New Year's resolution?
We're working on it. We're slowly working on it. Yes.
Well, another New Year's is coming.
Yeah. 2025.
2025 is going to be your year.
Yes.
But I'm just curious because I think that is like in all marriages, that's an age, that's a time period where it's kind of do or die. You know,
Right.
I mean, 7 years married, you gotta like, you can feel when it's getting stale, which is human.
Yes.
Nothing stays novel and fresh forever. It's just impossible.
Right.
We started to try. We kind of like thought, okay, let's do it every week, but that was a little hard to manage. It was hard to pull off every week with babysitting. I don't know. Did you try like to do once a week, once a month?
We tried to do once a month, and I mean, oh my God, that's way back. But and that was challenging. I mean, and we're like, no, we just need to do it. We need to just schedule a day at least once a month. My mom usually helps us with the kids. Have her come and spend the whole day with them, and we can go out and do something together. So definitely working on that because yes, it is important that you have that connection and not only that's like I think as a parent you lose your identity a little bit of like who you are, and then I think together, I mean, you're like, oh, I remember you used to play the guitar or you used to do this, and we used to love doing X, Y, and Z, and now it's like
wow.
I'm like, do you have energy? I'm tired. Like it's just kind of like. It's so easy to just kind of fall into the routine and maybe not going out and just, sitting on the couch and maybe watching something. Sometimes it is that connection, You're
right. And you have to try even when you don't want to. I'm going to tell you a quick little story. So I'm trying really, another part of the whole marriage cycle of hitting, the 7-year itch or whatever is the date. Okay, you have to try to make an effort to set up date night. But then there's the other layer, which is you have to try to get out of your pajamas. You have to look a little presentable, right?
Yes.
Like you should. So,
Yes.
So for the last date night, and I really am trying to make an effort. I'm going on 15 years, girlfriend, okay?
Oh, wow.
So I have to double up my
tips
game.
From you.
The tip is don't wear fake leather pants. So I'm like, okay. And
no pleather?
No pleather. I bought pleather, okay? But it's not going to go where you think it's going to go because we didn't even get there. So he said, I'm going to make dinner plans, dinner reservations. Well, if you have young kids, your body is trained to wake up very early, 6 a.m., especially with this new time change.
Right.
And I'm asleep and tired by 9 p.m. I don't know about you. You put them down, school, 9 p.m., you're just done. So I'm sleeping at 9 p.m. I said, please make reservations at 5 p.m. He said, well, the restaurant opens at 5. It's like, fine, 5:15. Okay. So we go at 5:15. There's nobody at the restaurant.
It's just you.
And I'm wearing these pleather pants. I have to go to the bathroom. I literally couldn't roll these pleather pants down to use the restaurant. So I sat there needing to use the restroom the whole dinner. I thought, oh my God, this is insane.
Mary.
But anyways, you gotta
take some oil next time.
I could have used the oil on the table from the restaurant. But it's like, you try to make these little, adjustments and get out of our like everydayness.
Yes.
Because it can set you back.
Right. No, I agree. And I think also complimenting your partner because I think it's important, when you do dress up or, you wear something that you normally don't and giving those compliments because, when you first started the relationship, you compliment every second or you're texting every second, you're admiring each other. And I think that's beautiful. And, that's kind of the beginning of the relationship and you lose that as time goes by. But I think it's important to, still compliment each other and, love your hair. Or, I
love that advice.
I think it's important because, it just makes you feel like, oh, they noticed.
Yes.
Or they looked at me.
Yes. And it sounds superficial, but it's not.
No.
It's like, I like your haircut. It's just, yes. And even I used to have this theory when I was younger, like, oh no, the gift thing, I don't need to expect gifts. It's very superficial, blah, blah, blah. Now I've changed that perspective a lot because it's not about the gift, but it's the process, right? That somebody thought to, like, let's say, get you a bracelet or something they think you would like, and to go
Right.
and get it and get it
Yes.
wrapped. And it's just the presentation.
Yes.
So now I'm demanding a lot more. Oh my gosh, Claudia, your story is very special. And the fact that you're here to tell it and be so open with your life, your journey, and how your beautiful family was formed is really big for listeners who are kind of intimidated by the process. It's a larger than life process. It's a leap of faith. And you took the leap of faith. To end, just a question that I'd like for you to answer for listeners. What advice would you have for women who are in your position, not now, the position you were in before taking the leap of faith, and they're very conflicted. They're scared of the world judging them. They're scared of the circumstances. I mean, any words of encouragement about taking that leap?
Well, it does take a lot of, I think, courage to make a life decision. I think sometimes we want to make others happy. We want to, follow the norms and, make our parents proud. And I think that's number one. I think, coming from a Hispanic family, very traditional as far as like values and, beliefs of like what a marriage is or it should be. I think, you want to make them proud and, you will. And I think no matter what you do, they will always be proud of you. And I think sometimes it's going to take years for people to realize that as a parent, you're going to be proud of your kid no matter what. Who they are, they're always going to be your kid. It doesn't matter, if they love a woman or love a man or they're this or that or, or if they do go to college or they don't, it's your child and you're going to be there no matter what. And I think not being scared. And I think sometimes fear prevents us from succeeding and doing the things that we're capable of doing. And I think, just being in a place where I think you either are going to stay content with where you are, and that's fine. I think a lot of people are comfortable and they don't want to take that risk because maybe there's other things at stake, and maybe that is the best
right.
for you at that time or that moment, or if you have a family. But for me, I think me taking that leap of faith was, I want to be happy and I wanted to, not be in that square or that box that I think was expected. And I think me finding my voice and being able to have that courage to, say, hey, I found this person and I'm going to do whatever needs to happen to be with the person I love and start a family. And, people or family might not be okay with it and might not be supportive. It is what it is.
Right.
And I think having that courage, takes a lot. And so I think for, people listening that are in that position, it's just trust your gut.
And everything kind of falls into place.
Right. Trust your gut and then just, follow your heart, I think. And, if you find that person, do what it takes to be there and get there.
Yeah. If you find your person, hang on. Thank you so much, Claudia. You are my inspiration. I love you as a friend.
Oh, I love you.
Thank you for coming on to this podcast. And I think we had a lot of good laughs.
Yes.
All right. That's a wrap. Thank you. Dear listeners, if you like what you heard, you can subscribe on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple, and follow me on my journey on Instagram and YouTube. Until next time.